What's good, Combat Sports fans? You already know it's your boy Bando back at it with a fresh episode of Combat and Kick It. We're going to talk some different stuff today. We're going to talk some current events, different stuff that's been going on through the MMA world, different buzz, different conversations people are having, different trolling moments, meme moments, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff that is swirling the MMA realm right now. So let's get right into it. Let's go. I'm going to start this episode off by saying if it's not a 45-70, we shooting across the table trying to hit the target, I ain't got no ego.
45-70 is?
I'm just telling
Do you know what a 45-70
I'm
is?
just telling my...
So in this episode, we shooting 45-70s all across the room. Straight up and down. So Kevin Holland recently went on the JAXXON podcast. If you're not hip to what the JAXXON podcast is, it is a podcast with Rampage JAXXON on it. Also, I'm still getting hip to the podcast. This other guy named Bear, who's really solid host. But they put on a good podcast. They really do. They put on a good episode. They ask good questions. They have a lot of fun with a lot of fighters. They bring a lot of different people on there, right? Like, they've had obviously legends like Chuck Liddell on there. They've had Hall of Famers like Michael Bisping on there. They also have had Michael Bisping and Luke Rockhold together on one together. You know, like they do stuff like that. They have a little bit of fun with it. Immediately got Arman Sarukian right on their podcast right after the injury. You know, everything like that. They're very quick. They get a lot of good stuff out. But this one with Kevin Holland has got the whole MMA realm just talking about it, right? You sit back and you look at it and you're like, man, Kevin Holland's a fan favorite. Everybody likes Kevin Holland. Everybody fucks with Kevin Holland. And then he goes on a podcast and he acts the way he was acting on his podcast, and it's just kind of trash. So just check it out real quick.
I've learned throughout my life, if people don't like my sense of humor, fuck it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Kevin, you could probably appreciate that attitude.
I mean, I guess, in a sense. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work like that for Kev.
Why?
It's usually, if you say fuck it to me, it's usually fuck you, so.
Well, I didn't say fuck you. I said fuck it.
Yeah, that's what I said. If you say fuck it to me, I usually say fuck you.
Well, fuck you too. I don't give a fuck.
And then it's fuck.
Yeah.
Now, it's wild to see somebody go on Rampage's podcast, say fuck you to Rampage, say fuck it, fuck you, fuck off, all that. You know, any type of shit that you could say to Rampage, a legend of the game. Somebody who is, he's truly like, if Rampage bothers you, then you just, I'm sorry to say it, but you're fucking soft. That man's been joking since day one, and anything that he could say today doesn't compare to the shit that he did in the past. So, like, stop acting so soft with it. But either way, he calls out Kevin Holland, says that Kevin Holland's got an ego. That's why he talks in his fights. Kevin says it's because it's boring. Now, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life. You talk because it's boring? Well, you haven't talked or spoken in the last, 3-4 fights? I wonder why.
Nah, I just feel like fights get boring sometimes. There's nothing to do. You know, we're just sitting there. So casual conversation rules the nation. Nothing wrong with having a little conversation with somebody. You know, see what happens. You know, it's like we're just standing there looking at each other.
I think it's an ego problem. That's what I think.
Think it's an ego problem?
That's what I think.
I don't have much of an ego.
Since we've been honest,
unless we're sitting across the table, we're both shooting 45-70s. We're trying to see who can hit the target. I don't have much of an ego.
Well,
He talks because it's boring. That just don't make no sense. Fights get boring, so just have a conversation in there. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. That just sounds stupid. I fuck with Kevin Holland, right? Obviously, I've said he's on the no parlay list. He definitely made the no parlay list, the no bet list. That's for damn sure. I fuck with Kevin Holland, but when you see an interview like that, you're like, damn, why he acting like that? For what reason? Why you acting like that? What you gotta act like that for? Right? Rampage was very civil, right? He kept it very calm, and it's surprising to see Rampage. I mean, talking about a man who literally ripped the door in half on an Ultimate Fighter, like. You know, he's ready to go. He wants to smoke at all given moments, and you know he was not He was not jumping on any moment of getting at Kevin, getting angry with him, trying to fight him. Even though Kevin said that he wanted to fight Rampage, Rampage said, you don't want to do that.
Last thing he want to do is fight me, though. That's the last
Nah,
thing.
I still want to.
No, it's
I don't give a fuck about the fight on Saturday.
Nah, you don't want to.
And you know, it's wild. Like, these guys in this game, you're going to hear people criticize you. That's part of the game. And Rampage didn't even criticize him at first. The whole beef started from an Instagram joke off of the Kevin Holland, Michael Venom Page little grab when they did during a face-off or whatever. But, you know, it started from a little joke. And I get a lot of these guys got egos. And you can't say that you don't have an ego if you're getting offended by stuff like that. You can't say you don't got an ego. You got an ego. And he wanted to say if it's not 45-70s, we shooting across the room trying to hit the target, then he ain't got no ego. He got an ego with that. And then they started talking about guns, started talking about different calibers, different bullets and all this kind of stuff. And Kevin Holland was trying to call out Rampage for being, you know, that pissed him off, the fact that he didn't know what a 45-70 is.
What a 45-70. I'm just telling my.
Place your comments down below. I know there's a lot of gun guys out there. Does anybody know what the fuck a 45-70 is? Because I didn't. You know, I've been around some guns. I've seen some bullets. Okay, I've done some slight research. I never heard of a 45-70. I mean, I'm not acting like I'm a gun guy or smart with it, but I've never heard of that. But either way, he got at Rampage heavy, and it pissed off a lot of the MMA just world. You know, a lot of people are going to be Team Rampage. Man, Rampage is a legend of the game. He's been rocking in the game for so long. He was a absolute animal in Pride. Came over to the UFC, was an animal in the UFC, right? Had some ups and downs in the UFC, had some ups and downs in Pride, but he had a fun career. He was fun to watch, right? He was funny in the build-ups and an absolute savage in the octagon. You can't ask for much else, you know. Rampage was always fun to watch, in my opinion, growing up. So that man is a legend. So it's just shitty to see somebody get on there. And then you look at the next episode with TJ Dillashaw, and TJ was pissed off at the fact that Kevin Holland was talking the way that he was talking. And not necessarily the whole ego thing, but more of saying fuck you to Rampage. That's, you know, how do you go on somebody's podcast face to face and say fuck you? Unless it's Ariel Helwani. That's the only person I would back you for doing that with. Yeah, thumbs up. I feel like sometimes Ariel just needs to be, hey, Ariel, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it just be like that. You know, remember Kevin Hart during the Tom Brady roast? Hey, fuck you, Tom. It's like that. Fuck you, Ariel. Helwani, 10-7. You fuck out of here. Then the other thing in the MMA realm, in the world of MMA, in the social media of MMA, people have been talking about Paddy Pimblett putting this dude, not putting this dude to sleep, but getting him in a chokehold, not letting go of the choke, even though the guy tapped and everything like that. Now, watching a few videos, I watched the MMA Guru's breakdown. I might post a little clip from him here in a second. But, you know, I watched his breakdown on it. He showed a lot more information, gave a lot more backstory of what the whole situation was. But the main reason I wanted to come through and talk about that before I show any bit of the clips is, what is your guys' opinion on that? Right? You got two guys who are fighters. Paddy, obviously, at the highest level, and this other guy is a pro MMA fighter. So, you know, two fighters, two pros, obviously have some differences, some arguments, some shit talking through social media, and they want to settle it, so they meet in the gym, which to me is, you know, that's the golden way to do it, man. Go ahead and scrap it out. You know, do what you got to do. Get in the gym. Do it in a safe way where nobody's going to get totally fucked up. You know, there's multiple people around to stop it if it got out of hand, type of thing. Like, that's where you should settle your differences. I like how they did that. But, you know, a lot behind it, a lot of shit talking and everything like that. So they get to fighting, trade some shots back and forth. Paddy ends up getting him down, gets him in the choke, doesn't let go of the choke after the tap. Now, to me, like, when it's a situation like that, that fight was a fight to squash a beef, right? That was a fight to end all the BS. Now, Paddy was probably just trying to put him to sleep. People think, oh, he was trying to kill him. Like, no, you guys don't understand. When someone taps, that just means that they're done. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to go to sleep. But you keep holding, they're gonna go to sleep. And once they go to sleep, you let go. If you don't let go, then you're talking about a whole different story, right? A whole different aspect. But he choked him almost to the point of going to sleep. Dude didn't go to sleep. People broke it up. You know, I do see it as, I see how people see it being like a little bit of a prick move. It is kind of a prick move, but when it's beef like that, like at first I thought it was two dudes training, or at first I even thought it was just a social media guy, like one of these influencers who were talking shit. And at that point it's like, all right, if it's that, then it's kind of shitty, because it's like, you know, you can truly hurt that person. This was another pro, so it is a slight bit of difference, and they were settling a beef. If these men met in the street to settle the beef, you think a tap would stop it? You know what I mean? Like, a tap is not going to stop that from happening. So they treated it as if it was a beef, but had it in a gym with pads on, so it kept it, you know, basically legal. And yeah, I see where people see it being a prick move, and I see where people see it not being a bad move. You know, it is what it is. And when it comes to beef, and it's beef between fighters, man, from the outsiders looking into it, right, we can't have too much opinion on it or judge at that moment, because they're two pro fighters. They agreed to get in there with each other, and they knew what was going to happen because they have beef, right? I'm sure if that guy had Paddy in a chokehold and Paddy tapped, he wasn't going to let go. You know, it's just how the game is. So you can't be mad at it. Like I said, we're outsiders looking in at it. We're watching it, you know, on Instagram and YouTube and shit like that. It doesn't, you know, it's hard for us to argue what is right and wrong with that position. Now, like I said, if it was a streamer, an influencer who was talking shit and Paddy did that to them, that's different, because you're talking about a person you can truly hurt, somebody who's not an MMA fighter, somebody who doesn't train this daily. You know, that's a completely different story. But this was a guy that was talking shit who was another pro fighter. They wanted to meet in the gym and scrap it out because they're not in the same promotion. They met in the gym, they scrapped it out. So did they settle their differences? I don't know. I didn't pay deep, you know, close attention to that. I would assume after that you might, but I could also assume that homeboy's pissed off that he got stuck in that choke. He did actually, no, matter of fact, he did come out and say that, like, people need to chill out going at Paddy Pimblett, because, I mean, they both agreed to do it, both agreed to get in the fight, and he knew that that's what was basically going to happen if he got in that position. So that's the game, man. You're talking about warriors. These guys are warriors. No matter what level it is, right? It could be a guy in the worst promotion who's low ranked, and the guy in the best promotion in the world who's highly ranked. It doesn't matter, man. When you're fighting, when you're a fighter, when you are in there doing gladiator style shit, and that's my opinion. I know some people might not look at it, but that's this day and age's version of gladiator style shit. Guys getting in there, going to scrap, you know, and they're putting their bodies on the line, they're putting their heads on the line, they're putting their, you know, life's on the line in a lot of ways. So yeah, you're gonna have some extra, you know, aggression to get out. And if you beef with some other guy, you gotta squash it, especially as being a fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you know, if baseball players were talking shit, say Trevor Bauer was talking shit to some guys in the MLB right now, right? Obviously, I'm using Trevor Bauer because he's not in the MLB, right? He's in a different promotion, and he's talking shit to some guy in the MLB, and the guy talks shit back, and he has a meet at some sort of batting cage, and he pitches to him because he was talking shit, saying he was gonna K him up, right? That's part of the sport, right? That's how it goes. These guys have egos involved in the sport of showing who they are, and it goes for every sport. But this one, for fighting, you're talking about guys that are going in there putting their lives on the line. So it's a lot different. They have way different mentalities, and that's just the way it goes. That's the way it goes. If you don't want shit like that to happen to you, don't talk shit to any MMA fighters. If he's got cauliflower ear, leave him alone. I always love that. Motherfuckers love trying to mess with somebody that looks like they can hurt you, because in their mind they think that they could take them. Some, you know, guys get a couple drinks in their system. They start thinking they got the mittens. watch a couple UFC fights on the TV, throw a couple brewskis back, and then all of a sudden they ready to go. Fuck out of here, buddy. So, moral of the story, moral of this whole episode is ego. Yep, ego. This was all about ego. Everything in this was related to ego. Kevin Holland's ego, Paddy Pimblett, and whatever the other dude's name was ego. Getting at each other. Whatevers. But that's it for this episode. I appreciate you for watching. As always, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you know when that next episode is out. Make sure to catch me on all my socials. I'm on Instagram. TikTok is still alive, so I'm on TikTok. I am barely on Twitter, but maybe shit'll change. I don't know. Twitter's not my favorite place. But either way, follow me on the socials at Combat and Kick It. And you already know. I'll catch you on the next episode. Your boy Bando is out. Peace.